Good morning, members. That's 10 o'clock. Welcome to this meeting of the Stranraer Common Good Subcommittee. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be made available for viewing through the Council's website. Remote participants, please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting, writing speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. Please don't repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it's intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. If any member has to leave the meeting, please either leave the Teams meeting for that period of time or write leave in the Teams chat function and then join when you rejoin the meeting so we can keep track on whether the meeting is quiet. All members should speak clearly, taking their time and speaking directly into the microphone when making contributions. When referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions in areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. Item 1 is Sederant, apologies, and I approve remote participation. Julian, can you provide the Sederant, please?
Thanks, Chair. We've got two members in the room this morning. We've got Councillor Dashbert and Councillor Gusty, and online we've got Councillor Hill.
Thank you. Item 2, declaration of interest. Do any members have a statement of connection or declaration of interest to make? No. Item 3, this item is for noting its minutes of the meeting for 20th November 2024. Happy to know. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting of the 6th of February 2025. Happy to approve. Yep. Thank you. Takes us on to item 5, applications for financial assistance from Stranraer Common Good Fund, report by Head of Thriving Communities. Our report today asks members to consider one application for financial assistance. We've got an application in from Stranraer Development Trust, who have made an application to the Common Good Fund for £10,000 for financial assistance towards the continued funding of the post of the Gateway to Galloway Project Officer, the role which continues to support services provided at the hub. So I'll open it up to any debates or comments, etc. Councillor Giusti.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, when I've been looking at the criteria for refusal, well, or nil award by the panel, it's because they've came to us more than 3 consecutive years. But if we look at the consecutive years here, £10,000 to support the Unexpected Garden Movable Feast, Stranraer Allotment Society Fields, combined funding for Christmas activities. The development trusts have shown that they're exemplar and they're doing stuff that we are wanting community groups to be doing, which is working together, supporting each other. And I think that if we were to take this as a nil award because of these previous applications, we'd be doing a disservice to the community. Now, I see, Chair, that they're asking for £10,000 or so. Is it £10,000 exactly? £10,000 exactly. We have 4,000 and something at the minute. As we're coming up to a new financial year, can we split the award today and give the £4,000 today, and then when our new funds come in the turn of the financial year, automatically that extra £6,000, sorry, not £600,000, £6,000 would then be granted to them without them having to come back to us for that. But what's the thoughts on that? I've cleared it with governance before the meeting, and they don't seem to have an issue with that.
Thank you. I'll let Councillor Hill in first, and then we'll go to the officers. Councillor Hill.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm just a wee bit concerned because they had £5,000 towards the position last year, and I'm kind of, thinking, are we the last resort for this? I'm just wanting clarity on if we are the last resort or if we're not, because last time we were the last resort. Do we have a list on their application of who else they've applied to, please?
Gillian, can you assist with these questions? Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Hill. Give me 2 seconds till I open the application form, which was there a wee minute ago. So there was an email received from Stranraer Development Trust towards the end of January, just following up on the application that had been submitted to Stranraer Common Good. And they were saying that the amount of funding available is below the amount that's been, the amount of funding available in the Common Good Fund is less than what the Trust has applied for, but they have said that they have been looking to get extra funding for this post. I've not got the specific details as to where they've applied to previously, but I'm happy to follow that up, Councillor, if that's something that would be helpful for you.
Yeah, I kind of think that we've said to previous applicants, I mean, I know the Development Trust do amazing things and I won't want to see them not be able to continue that. But we have said to other applicants in the past, is this the last resort? Can you give us evidence? And whether it's the applications that the council are giving out that need changing so that we can see the evidence that they've applied to other people. I just think we need to be fair and transparent here. And I'm a bit unsure, to be honest, whether it sits comfortably with me or whether, you know, if they have 5,000 at the moment and they have somebody employed, whether we could go back and they could come back to the next meeting to give evidence to show that they've applied to the people and we are the last resort.
No, it's a good point, Chrissy, and I think we could maybe do with some more information on their success with external funders and such. Gillian, do you have any thoughts on Councillor Ducey's proposal to split it?
If that's a decision that members would like to take with the Stranraer Common Good Fund, that's a decision that could be taken at committee.
And Andrew, would you be content with that, bearing in mind what Chrissy said about external funders and things?
I'm quite happy to go with what I've suggested before. I've had a conversation with the Development Trust to ask what their situation is, and from what I've been told, with all the budget settings that have been going on recently, not many funds are getting back to them quickly. And from my understanding, it is going to be this is an issue that's going to be a last resort funding for a time being, similar to what we had with the Millennium Centre last year. It's a short-term problem rather than a long-term issue, from what I understand, and that's due to other funders not coming forth with cash because of the budget settings.
Yeah, so it says nil award based on the fact that they've received a number of thousands of pounds over the last, for more than 3 consecutive years. So we would be going against officer recommendations by granting it. However, if there is, as Councillor Ducey is alluding to, unique financial circumstances, then personally I'd be minded to support it, certainly on Councillor Ducey's proposal to give an initial £4,000 from the remaining funds for this year. Councillor Hill.
How do we know that they're in financial difficulty? Does it state that on the application form? Because I haven't read that in the papers.
I don't know if Councillor Ducey maybe should have declared a statement of connection or such before bringing in extra information into the discussion, but Councillor Ducey.
Chair, if it's a statement of connection, we'll create that, but basically, I think we all know that they're, because they've been in touch, I'm sure, with all the elected members locally, have they? At some point, I know that they were going to try and get in touch with everybody. So I've seen that information and I've contacted them asking what's the issue, what's happening here. And from what I understand is that they're looking for funding for staff, which they hope's going to come through, but nothing's coming forward yet because of budgets of the funders that they went to keep saying, oh, give us another couple of weeks, give us another couple of weeks, or give us this. And that just seems to be an issue at the minute all over the place that I'm hearing about. We've got quite a lot of stuff going on nationally, and it's causing a bit of, what's the word? Sorry? Consternation. That's not the word I was going for, but I'll take it. Thank you. So Chair, I'm happy to. I'm quite certain that this is a genuine application, and that they do need the cash as a last resort to keep them going for the next couple of months. I'm quite happy with that.
Okay. I've got Gillian wanting in. Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Just following on from Councillor Hill's question, on the application form that we've received to Stranraer Common Good, the Stranraer Development Trust have recorded on their application that it's continuing to prove difficult to attain funding for the tourism sector, as most funders will not be an option in the area, and there's a limited pool of money in which the organisation can apply for. They are looking to continue and look at community benefit projects, and then they go on to talk about the heated lockers for cyclists that they've recently purchased, and they're looking to develop what the offer is within the town. I hope that's helpful.
Councillor Hill, your hand's still up. Is that a legacy or?
Yeah, no, apologies. With me travelling, I missed some of that. But I know, as Gillian's just said, as a ward officer, she's seen this on the application. I haven't seen this, and I know that there is difficulties. There's a lot of places that are applying for funding, and they're struggling with it for tourism. But the wind farms at the moment are giving out money for tourism. So there is places that you can go to, when we have said previously that we're expecting people to show that they've gone to other places, i.e., you know, when it comes to events, when it came to putting on the fireworks, when it comes to all the other community groups that are in the town for Christmas, for money for Christmas, and we're saying to them, so there can't be an argument for one and not for the other. So we really need to be transparent with this, and we really need to think, are we going to come back even to a special meeting and have this evidence that they have applied to others? Because I have no problem whatsoever in helping any of the community groups, because the volunteers, a lot of them, and they do fantastic work. And without them, you know, Stranraer wouldn't be the place that it is. But we need to be transparent, and we need to be fair when it comes to the common good money. And I just haven't seen the evidence in front of me. And we have this conversation nearly every time it comes to funding for any of the community groups, that we've asked for more evidence for elected members to see, and that still hasn't come to fruition, Chair. And so, you know, that's an ask of me, and I want it minuted, that we need more information as elected members to be able to read and see what the problems are, see where we can assist them, where we direct them.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Your points and your passion are well made, and there's never anything wrong with asking for more information. Gillian, this is the information that we've got in front of us, and if Councillor Hill believes it's not sufficient enough, then I'm inclined to sort of go with Councillor Hill's suggestion of maybe having a delay to a special meeting or such until we can contact the Trust and just ask for more information about their financial situation and external funders. Councillor Giusti, can I bring you back in?
Chair, I'll keep my motion on the table. It looks like I'm not getting a seconder. I'll record my dissent. I think I've been pretty consistent through the common good in the sense that I don't believe we're a funding of last resort. I think that there's a few charities and community groups in Stranraer that I think it's almost guaranteed that we're going to have to fund them all at some point more than 3 years consecutively. And if we weren't to fund them, what else are we doing with the money? Put it back into the bank account for a rainy day. And when they're coming to us asking for these projects, I struggle with this. Well, you know, I struggle with the 3 years consecutive, and I struggle with the funding of last resort. I see this funding is for the town, and I don't have a qualm with giving that funding. But then that's a personal opinion, though. And as I say, I don't think I think the committee have taken on what I've said at the beginning, which is the funding that they've went for in the past generally is to support other groups. From what I'm getting from the committee and Councillor Hill and yourself, Chair, that's not an issue here. The issue is the last resort aspect of this. So I don't know how quickly we can pull that information together. Is that something that, can we adjourn today and pick up this meeting after the area committee later on And will that give Gillian enough time to get that information? Because I don't imagine it's a lot of information you're looking for here. Am I right in thinking that? Is that doable, or am I pushing time, am I stretching time here, or just tell me if I'm being silly?
I think Councillor Hill's main query isn't really around the 3-year limit. It's more around the financial situation, and I think she's just needing some extra reassurances around that. I don't know how quick that information is to obtain, but certainly I'll put it over to Gillian with your suggestion to hold a meeting later. Can that information be attempted to get today, Gillian?
Certainly, Chair. I can make some phone calls this morning to see if I can gather the information that's requested. Just to clarify, I am looking at where the Stranraer Development Trust have applied to previously for funding for this particular post. Is that the question that I'm going for?
I suppose I'll put that back over to Councillor Hill. Have you still got your hand up?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Chair. It's to see where else they have applied to for funding for this position, because we gave them 5,000. What date was it actually, Gillian? In 2024 that they came to us for the £5,000 funding for this position. And my other concern is I'm not happy with spending or agreeing to any money coming out of next year's budget until next year's budget. So if we did go with anything, it would only be the amount that's left within the fund for this year. And then they would need to come back in any case, like every other group.
Gillian?
It was summer 2024, Councillor Hill, that the last application was received for the £5,000 that the Common Good Subcommittee granted for the Gateway to Galloway Project Officer.
So that would be 2 applications within the same year for the same position. Can you just confirm that that's correct, please?
That's the information that I've got in front of me, Councillor Hill.
So last summer they'll have known that the 5,000 that they got from us wouldn't be enough to cover the position. So what mitigations have we evidence of that they've put in place, that they've applied to other funds like the wind farm to cover this position? And when is this position going to end? So if we don't say yes today, because on officer's recommendation from the scoring panel, it's a nil award, when does this position end? If we do give them the money, how long is the position going to last for? So is it a position that we're going to be helping them out fund, or is it a year's position? How long is this person going to be employed for? And then how are they going to fund it for next year? There's too many questions for me at the moment that are unanswered for this to be a last resort, because if I was putting something in for a last resort, I'd be saying I've gone to A, B, C and D. You know, we've got a really good worker here. They're going to become unemployed. We've got these projects on the go. We're needing somebody employed until December next year, and this is how much it's going to cost. Do we have that information, please, Gillian?
I can go back and request that information, Councillor Hill, and present it to members as soon as I've got it.
I'm sorry, I cannot make a decision then, because that information should have been on the application. And if the application form isn't asking for that information, then we need to go back and we need to rethink these application forms.
I suppose information is only ever as good as the person fills it out. You know how much how detailed they make their application. But Gillian, have you made a sort of note of Councillor Hill's questions? Can you just repeat that back to us for clarity?
Certainly, Chair. So the questions I've got that I'm going to be going to the Stranraer Development Trust to ask for, and specifically in relation to the Gateway to Galloway Project Officer, where has other funding applications, where have other funding applications been made? What's the plan for future funding for this post? What's the contract length? And sort of specific projects that the worker will be involved on. Is there anything else, Councillor Hill, that I've missed off the list?
Yeah, the evidence that they've applied for these fundings and they've had a nil award or they're still waiting for an award, because from all we know, they could have applied to the wind farms for 20 grand and be waiting on that and then get that. And then the money that we're giving them could be surplus. So you don't know whether it's you know, final resort. Thanks.
Councillor Giusti.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, see if we give money to, maybe this is for Gillian, if we give money to a group and the money ends up being surplus and it cannot be used for the project that that money was then applied for, it has to be returned. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you are. There is a process in place if groups do wish to return any funds to the council.
Councillor Hill, are you content with Gillian's questions that she's going to ask?
Yeah, and I'd like to see the evidence so that we're aware in the public domain, you know, of the places that these groups are applying to funding for and being unsuccessful, so that we can maybe have an understanding of why, and if it happens again, you know, we've got a better understanding of how third sector are applying for grant funding, because I do appreciate it is becoming more and more difficult to get funding for positions, but I am very aware that the wind farms are desperate to give money out for tourism within our area, and this is a tourism position, so it'll be interesting to see if they've said no, the reasons why, and whether, you know, we as a council can support this group potentially in their funding applications, and assist them so that maybe their applications could be a bit more open to wind farms saying yes or other groups saying yes. So it's a way of us learning as a council and being able to support in not just a financial way, but in other ways as well.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so Gillian, are we able to, I don't know how having a meeting later on would work in terms of governance, etc. Is that possible?
If we can get all the information and if members are available, if it's an adjournment for the meeting to take place later on, if we have all the information, but there's a potential that we might not have all the information requested.
Councillor Giusti.
So, Chair, I look at the area committee. I would hope that an 11 o'clock start for the area committee, and by the time we finish, let's hope we're probably going for about 1:30 to 2 o'clock. And then a comfort break. Would it be right to maybe ask for an adjournment for 3 p.m. today? Or is that too long in an adjournment? And would that give Gillian the appropriate time? Because I appreciate Gillian may be in the area committee and might not be able to make the phone calls at that point in time.
Gillian?
I can certainly make some phone calls just now, and I'll follow up with an email, and obviously with other commitments in area committee. We might have the information. It depends whether the organisation come back like really quickly with the information that we're requesting that can be presented to members.
Councillor Giusti.
So, Chair, I would suggest that the minute we take a 5 to 10 minute recess to allow Gillian to make those phone calls, and based on those phone calls, if the information can come forth today, then we ask for that information to come forth today and we adjourn to later on today. Otherwise, if the Development Trust can't bring that information to us today, then we'll adjourn for another day. Does that sound feasible?
Councillor Hill.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds reasonable and adjournment to say, I'm sure the Development Trust are potentially watching this meeting today, you know, if this is a last resort and they're desperately needing this funding. And just to make sure with Gillian, it's if they've applied for any other funding, when they applied for it, and if they haven't got a decision, when they will get a decision and how much it's for. We're needing all of that information. And I know you say, you know, an application is as good as what people put on it, but if the application doesn't ask for these things, then people who are volunteers potentially don't know that they need to put all of this information on. So we still need to go back and we need to look at the application format. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think if we follow Councillor Drewsty's suggestion and just go for a 10-minute recess initially right now and see if we can make some preliminary contact with the organisation. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's us back. The officers have been in touch with the trust, and we've got a verbal update. Gillian.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I've spoken to colleague from Stranraer Development Trust, and Councillor Hill, I think some of the questions were in relation to funding that's been applied for in relation to the Gateway to Galloway officer post. So Trust have confirmed that they've made an application to the region-wide community fund of £5,000. That application is submitted and the deadline's the 12th of April. So that fund will close on the 12th of April, so it'll be after that date that the outcome will be received. They've applied to Garfield Western on the 15th of January. They've applied for £10,000 to that funding pot. There's a 4-month turnaround before a decision will be made. So they won't hear anything until at least April time. In relation to the National Lottery, the organisation currently can't apply to the National Lottery until the 21st of August. And at that point, they would be eligible to apply for up to £20,000, but they've currently got an ongoing application in place with the lottery at the moment. They will be putting in from project revenue, so revenue that's been made from having the Gateway to Galloway project officer in place will be £2,400 going into towards paying for the salary. When I spoke to their development officer, most funds won't touch tourism. They are relying on a lot of local funding to fund this post. I asked a question, Councillor Hill, about wind farms. So I got some feedback in relation to, they did have money from Kilgalleach on a 3-year rolling grant in 2021, but unfortunately Kilgalleach won't give continuation for funding for the post that they're looking for the money for just now. Currently, the organisation are linking in with Business Gateway and SOCI round about future projects which will hopefully become income generation for the organisation. Currently, the Gateway to Galloway project officer's contracts until the end of April. It has been on short-term rolling contracts, but it has been the same worker that's been on post, and the Stranraer Development Trust would really like to be able to give that person like an annual contract for this project role. So day-to-day tasks for the project officer is sort of the day-to-day running of the hub, dealing with customers that come into the centre, any community issues, they support with any bookings that maybe tourists who have arrived in Stranraer and aren't sure where to go for accommodation or activities or places to visit. They have recently opened a warm hub, and they do have some exhibitions running, and also there's the officer supports volunteers to keep the hub up and running. So that's all the information that I've been able to gather during our recess.
Thank you, Gillian. That was really comprehensive, and thank you for making contact. Councillor Hill, does that help alleviate some of your concerns?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Gillian, for going and doing that. So quickly totting up in my head, that's £37,500 they've applied for, which potentially they could get for the post for next year. So is this 10,000 that they're wanting off us until the post finishes in April, or is it a continue of next year? Is a position full-time, did you say? How much is a position for a year? Do you see what it's still a bit unclear as to what the money that the common good are going to give it for. Is it going to be till the end of April, or have we got enough funding and the job will finish at the end of April? If I can have clarity on that. And is it to fund the job from the beginning of April until they get this other funding in? And if they are successful and get this other funding in of 37,500, I think it came to, then that position for the year would be 47,500, or are the other funders willing to allow it to roll over for 2 years or 3 years? How is it working, please?
So the information I've got in relation to the contracts, Councillor Hill, is it's the contract's been renewing every 3 months as funding's been secured, and the Development Trust are hoping to have a yearly contract in place for the Gateway to Galloway project officer. The funding, so in relation to salary information, that was on the application, I believe. But I can go back and ask for clarification if there's further questions that members would like me to check with the Development Trust.
Yeah, please, for me, if you could. It's great that they've come back with all that information. I'm just really sort of like sitting here thinking, you know, they've applied for 37,500 from other funds, which is that a full-time salary? Is that over 2 years? You know, if they get all of that funding in and we give them 10,000 as well, they're potentially sitting there with £47,500 to fund a job that we don't even know whether it's full-time. And to me, that's a bit bizarre that we don't know that. I'm sorry that I'm asking all these questions, but I'm at a bit of a loss as to where to go with this. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Hill. It is a full-time position that there is a worker currently in place for. In relation to the lottery bid, an application cannot be made until at least the 21st of August. So that's no money that's currently in the pipeline. That's money that would be sort of a future application. So the current funding applications that are in place for the Gateway to Galloway Project Officer is the Region-wide Community Fund for £5,000. There's the £10,000 to Garfield Western. There's the revenue that the Gateway to Galloway Project Officer sort of generates in their current role of the 2,400, and then there's the application to Stranraer Common Good. So those are the current live applications that the organisation come in. They were letting me know that the lottery would be a future application, but not until at least the 21st of August.
So that's 17,400 without the 10,000 from the Common Good. So it would be 27,400 for the position, which is full time. Is that correct?
I'm just going to reopen the application. Sorry, it closed while I was downstairs. Thank you. So the total amount that's been requested on the form, so the total cost of activities that's been recorded is £38,937.80, and that's with the project officer salary, that's the national insurance contributions, pension and core costs for having that, getting that person into post and having them in post. So it's £38,937 is what's been recorded on the application form.
Councillor Hill, does that help? I'm a bit conscious of time because we've got the area committee starting soon.
Yeah, no, that helps. I think I'm happy to support them. So I'm happy for what we have left in the fund to go towards this position, but I'm not happy to spend any of the money out of next year's fund until we get it. And I kind of think that, you know, they're waiting till April for the rest of the funding, so they'll know by April whether they've got the rest of the funding in any case, from all of those different people, because if they don't get that, they're not going to be actually able to employ this person on the 4,000 or the 10,000 we give them. So the job might actually, you know, not come through if they can't get funding from anywhere else. So like I say, I'm happy to say the 4,000. And I think that if they're needing any more, then they, you know, they need to come back and apply. And the application needs to show what they've actually received, what they've applied to. And I think we need to be putting that out to any other group or any other organisation. We need to know what you've applied for, if you're successful or when you're looking at being successful, and have all of this information to hand in the future. But yeah, I'm happy to give them the 4,000 today. But like I say, the 6,000, I think we need to wait and open it up to everybody in Stranraer after April. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Giusti, is your motion still on the table in front of us to do the 4,000 and then the 6,000 next year?
Chair, I'm happy to keep my motion then, or if we want to give the full amount today, take it from reserve and then top up the reserve when the new financial year comes in. Although I think that would just be a palaver. I would be quite happy to keep the 4,000 now and then the 6,000 in the new financial year, because we're only, a matter of 28 days or something, or 25 days away.
Yeah, no, I'm content with that. If all the elected members are, Gillian, can you just repeat that back to us? So we're agreeing to do 4,000 for now, and then.
Thanks, Chair. So just to clarify, members are looking to give the remaining balance of the Stranraer Common Good Fund to the Stranraer Development Trust, just like currently. And then when the fund replenishes in April, pay out the remaining balance up to the £10,000.
Councillor Giusti?
I'm thank you, Chair. And I would maybe caveat that we wouldn't want to see an application like this in the next year from the Development Trust. If it's for a different project altogether, fair enough, but not for a staffing, I think if we keep that clear at the minute.
Yeah, if we can make that clear in our correspondence with them. Councillor Hill?
No, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think we give them the 4,000 now, and then they need to come back for the 6,000 in April with a new application with all the information on. I'm not happy to be spending money out of next year's fund now. And I think they need to come back in April and let us know that they've been successful with those applications to let us know that this job is going to go ahead. So I think we give them the 4,000 out of the fund now, and then they can reapply for the other 6,000.
Councillor Hill, are you putting that forward as an alternative motion?
Yeah, I've just put that forward as an alternative motion. I don't think we should be spending money out of next year's fund that we haven't got yet. Thanks.
Okay, so we've got two motions in front of us. Usual procedure applies. Gillian, can you just repeat the two motions for us? Yep. Councillor Giusti.
Chair, as we're only a three-member committee and both motions need a seconder. It depends on who you second, and then the other motion falls rather than going for a vote.
Yeah, because I hadn't considered that because we've only got a three-member committee. How does that work in terms of seconding, Gillian?
If either motion has a seconder, then that motion would carry.
Okay, so I'm inclined to second Councillor Giusti on this one, and that can just be minuted as a decision. Councillor Giusti. Yeah.
Right, Chair. Councillor Hill might want to record a dissent, but I'll let Councillor Hill do that. It's just a comment on what we've seen today. I think it's made it a little bit difficult having a common good in a March so close to our new financial year. I know that we're not here we didn't want to be in this position. It's because we've not been able to get a quorum before. But maybe next time, if we're in this situation, maybe wait that extra month until our next financial year, and then we've got the bigger picture. Is that possible? Would that be or would I be delaying it? Because it would still be this issue of your funders or your applicants might not know that there's funding available because it is just the start of the financial year. they might not be in tune with that. Am I hitting a nerve here, Gillian? Am I correct, or am I right, or?
I think most applications that come into Stranraer Common Good are for last resort funding. So organisations generally will look to other funding sources first, and it's on the website of the dates when the meetings for Stranraer Common Good Subcommittee are being held. So applications sort of come in to fit around those meetings. So if that's something that members wish to look at, then that's potentially something that could be considered at a future member seminar if you're looking to make any alterations to the dates of meetings.
Just come back. It's not to make alterations to the dates. It's just we find ourselves in an interesting position here because we've not been able to get a quorum for the past couple of meetings, which has pushed us this close to that cusp of the financial year, which has caused a wee bit of I'm not going to say confusion, but a bit of debate today. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, something to look at and maybe tune for next year. Okay, so we'll move on to the recommendations. We've noted the estimated remaining free income balance of 4,243 available for disbursement in this financial year. We've noted the agreed grant criteria for funding, and we've looked at the application before us. Gillian, can you just repeat the decision in terms of the application? Thank you.
So members' decision was to fund the Stranraer Development Trust for the Gateway to Galloway Project Officer, the remaining balance of the Common Good Fund in this financial year, and then pay the remaining balance up to the £10,000 requested in the next financial year once the new funding becomes available.
Good, thank you. Okay, item 6, AOCB. I have no other urgent business before me, so that concludes the meeting. Thanks for coming, and see you next time. Thank you.